Hello adventurers, this is Craddock, and today I'll be going over a TalVyr T13 Manaltiel build. The focus of this build is convenience. It's meant to level out the times, basically this build is based on stacks, so the more stacks you have from on-kill, on-kill hits, means you get more damage and it snowballs until you just kill everything instantly. Well, that's really good on dense rift, but on rifts that are, if you've ever played this build before, you know on a rift that's not dense, it's very much a drag because you have to travel farther. Sometimes you don't find an elite, so you can't proc your NGM. Anyway, this build this configuration solves that, and so let's get into it. First thing off the bat, you'll notice we're using both NGM in the cube, and we're also using Aetherwalker. This is because we need NGM, first of all, to still reduce our cooldowns for Archon, because we'll get better stack overlap, which gives us more damage, more uptime on our damage buffs, and it'll also give us basically less downtime out of Archon, which means less likelihood that we'll die. Aetherwalker, because even if we don't have NGM, we still want to be able to move around quickly, dodge things. Basically helps us continue movement throughout the rift, whereas if we only had NGM, we'd kind of be stuck at a slow pace, and it would be not very enjoyable. The other thing Aetherwalker does is it reduces our cooldown on teleport to near nil, even if we don't have NGM when we're in Archon form. So it doesn't matter where you're at, you're always going to have an instant teleport, which is really nice, and it just lets you breeze through the rifts that much faster. The other thing you'll notice here for convenience is we've opted for Pain Enhancer and Gogok. Gogok, first of all, gives you a huge amount of attack speed. Pain Enhancer as well gives us a lot of attack speed. This will help bridge the gap to hit the higher breakpoints, even if we're at low Archon stacks. Even if we got a really bad rift and we hadn't killed a lot of enemies, we'll still be able to hit the higher breakpoints when we're in double stack Swami, for example, and single stack Swami even. We'll still hit that 12 ticks per second breakpoint, even in single stack, which is really cool. The other thing here with the secondary property of Gogok is it reduces your cooldown. So even if you don't have an NGM proc, you can still hopefully reset your Archon really quickly. And the other thing these two gems do is they make up for the fact that you might have not proper rolls for cooldown or attack speed on your gear. Notice here, like, this is almost end of season gearing here that I have on my gear right now, and I've got attack speed and cooldown on almost every piece I can fit it in on, pretty much. So this is why these two gems are the best in my opinion for this sort of build. Our third legendary gem is Boon of the Holder, and really the only reason is to have this here is just to pick up more gold, because I hate to do gold runs, but if you don't think you need this, you can swap it to Trap to get multiplicative damage bonus. Because we have paralysis, you'll be stunning enemies, that counts as crowd control. It'll still proc your Bane of the Trapped at range or close up, so there's that option. You can also go for Esoteric instead if you just want a little bit more defense in the build. This is probably the best defensive gem. And let's see, we have Nemesis Bracers for easy spawn of extra elites when we click the pylons. We also have a lot of the passives, I forgot. I'm using Glass Cannon. Glass Cannon here is a skill I usually don't opt for because it decreases your armor and resistances, but in this case I think it's the best option because Audacity and Power Hungry have a ranged requirement, and I hate moving just to get a better bonus, especially when I'm T13. I don't want to have to think about that stuff. The thing about the TalVyr Archon build is when you get higher stacks, it sort of makes up for the fact you've lost a little bit of defense here. So Glass Cannon isn't that bad. It is additive with your 10% from Magic Weapon Deflection, but it's still a considerable bonus and worth getting considering that it's always on and you don't have to deal with proccing it like you would with elemental exposure, that sort of thing. Speaking of convenience, we're using Ray of Frost Cold Blood to proc Zodiac and also to keep arcane power costs down. You don't even have to have max arcane power assigned in your paragon because of this, which is really nice, very convenient. The other thing about putting a cold spell here is it frees up another skill slot, and more importantly, you don't have to think about as much about casting two different spells once you're out of Archon. Like, it's a very quick transition from the time you get out of Archon to when you're able to get back into Archon, so you want to minimize that as much as possible. And to do that, you only want to have to cast one spell, and you want that to be Teleport, because, I mean, you get out of Archon, you're beaming anyway, and then you Ray of Frost, so that procs your cold, and then all you want to have to do is cast maybe one or two teleports. And the cool thing is, about the 8th Walker again, is you can get one, maybe two off, and continue movement throughout the Rift. So, the spell we put there in that slot, that extra slot, is slow time, stretch time, again, giving you more attack speed so that you don't have to worry quite as much about hitting those higher breakpoints. The other option here is Time Warp. It's very nice. They have to be within the 20 yards bubble, but most of the time with this build you end up within 20 yards when you're hitting enemies anyway. But that's another option. We also have the extra procs from Frozen Storm. Frozen Storm deals damage around us, helps proc our Pain Enhancer, gives us attack speed that much faster. There are only a few things about this build I feel are kind of missing. One is pickup radius, because we aren't wearing a Varus band and we don't have a mechanism for pickup radius. I feel it very beneficial to get secondary pickup rolls on gear wherever you can. If you're trying to optimize this build, that is what I would shoot for, is pickup radius as secondary. Another thing is I feel it's lacking is if you really want to like be invulnerable in T13, you try and fit in gold wrap, but you can't in this build because you would lose your Fear 4 bonus, which means you would do way less damage and clear the rift a lot slower. The big thing with the gold wrap and Boon of the Hoarder combo is you would be able to tank the Moltens, but what I do to sort of counter the loss in time when I encounter a Molten pack is I kill the Molten pack, and then I go off and I kill other monsters, and I circle back around to pick up the Death's Breath and the globes that the Molten pack might have dropped to hopefully keep the pace, so to speak. Anyway, this is a very convenient setup. It's the best I could come up with, and I hope you like it too. The videos that I'm putting, the gameplay footage, I have Paragon 400 basically assigned, minus I took off all the intellect from primary, but it was basically about 1200 into 12,000 intellect, which equates to about, I don't know, about 800 Paragon when you're in season, but I think that's as low as I could go, unfortunately, on this character because I have such high augments. But what I think is that this is still the best configuration, even if you have to clear at T12 instead of T13. It's still the better build to roll with because you're clearing the rift faster, and that means it's a better build. Anyway, hope you like it. See you around.